At the beginning, two girls were sitting in a restaurant, talking to each other. One of them asked if the other had gotten a boyfriend, wondering how that was possible since they attended an all-girls school. She questioned whether they had met at a party or through an app. The narrator then explained that Sarasa Hazumi, a first-year student in high school, dreamed of experiencing a love story like those in shoujo manga. The girls continued talking while two boys stared at them. One of the girls mentioned that her boyfriend was someone she met at work, and the other called her lucky. The narrator then explained that the number of years Sarasa had gone without a boyfriend was equal to her age. Sarasa thought to herself that she wanted a boyfriend too. A new scene appeared where Sarasa was running, thinking about how in middle school she had always been busy with clubs and that using apps and attending group meetups had all been failures. Even trying the cliché of running with a slice of bread in her mouth for a chance encounter had not worked. The other girl laughed at her and suggested that Sarasa should try getting a part-time job. Sarasa then thought about it, considering that even if she said she wanted a boyfriend, it was not as if just anyone would do. She wished for a love story that began with a fateful encounter with someone sincere. After that, the other girl left the restaurant, while Sarasa thought to herself that maybe she should try getting a part-time job too. Suddenly, someone from behind called out to her, saying he had heard she wanted a boyfriend. It was a guy, and with a smug expression, he asked if she wanted him to be her boyfriend. Sarasa immediately thought that he was a player and not her type at all. The boy grabbed Sarasa's hand, and Sarasa imagined that the kind of guy who would come to help her in such a situation, someone like a Prince Charming, was her type. Just then, a boy appeared between Sarasa and the other guy, stopping him from holding her hand. The boy who saved Sarasa asked if she was okay, matching exactly the type Sarasa had imagined. Sarasa looked at him, and after a moment, she asked to be allowed to work there. Then the scene shifted, revealing that a month had passed since that day, and Sarasa's one-sided love at work continued. The boss arranged their shifts so that Sarasa and Itaru Mashiba worked together, knowing about Sarasa's feelings for him. All of Sarasa's co-workers were kind, creating a pleasant atmosphere for her to work in. Sarasa thought that all she had left to do was to try to get closer to Itaru Mashiba. One of Sarasa's co-workers commented that it was crazy how Itaru didn't look like a second-year high school student at all, adding that he was really handsome. Sarasa, startled, apologized, but the co-worker reassured her, saying it was fine and encouraged her by saying she could do it, counting on her. Sarasa replied that she would take care of it and told her to leave it to her. As Sarasa struggled to open a jar, she thought to herself that it wouldn't open and that in such moments, she needed to put her heart into it. Then, Itaru came over, told her to leave it to him, and effortlessly opened the jar she had been struggling with. Sarasa thanked him, thinking that it was their first time talking to each other beyond simply exchanging greetings. Itaru told her not to worry and that she could feel free to rely on him more. Sarasa thought to herself that he was always making all the effort by himself and that, since they were almost the same age, it probably would have been easier for him if she had talked to him more. She realized that he was paying attention to her and thought that it made her happy, inwardly cheering in excitement. Itaru, noticing her enthusiasm, remarked that she spoke very loudly as he walked away. Sarasa then said that Mashiba was really amazing. The scene then shifted to Sarasa talking with her boss. The boss asked how things were going between her and Itaru. Sarasa admitted that she was the only one in love. The boss suggested that she invite Itaru to the yose, saying that it might be nice. Sarasa thought to herself that yose meant Japanese hot pot, but the boss clarified that he was talking about rakugo, which is a form of comedic storytelling. He added that he was sure Itaru would love it. Sarasa said that it was a pretty fancy choice but thought that if they spent some time together, it could be really nice. She thanked the manager for the suggestion. Then, noticing Itaru nearby, she decided to try inviting him, thinking, "Speaking of the devil." Itaru asked her what was wrong, and Sarasa replied that it had been so crowded that day. Itaru thought to himself that he had just arrived, so he couldn't really tell. Then the scene showed Sarasa thinking to herself that she had ruined everything. She started running off, calling out that she was coming and suggesting they run away. Frustrated, she wondered how to properly invite a guy while continuing to serve customers, saying she would take their order. When she looked up, she was surprised to recognize someone, realizing it was the same girl from the other day. The two guys from before had returned. They grabbed Sarasa's hand again, telling her to sit with them and have a little chat. Nervously, Sarasa refused, asking them to excuse her. At that moment, someone interrupted, saying, "Please excuse us." It was Itaru who told the men that their restaurant did not offer that kind of service while removing their hand from Sarasa. Sarasa thought that, just as she had imagined, Itaru was really cool. She grabbed Itaru's hand, thinking that he was like a prince. The scene then shifted to Sarasa, thinking about how much she wished he would fall for her. Later, as she was leaving, she heard someone say goodbye and saw Mishiba. She thanked him for helping her earlier, admitting that she hadn't known what to do in that situation. Mishiba gently patted her head and teased her, saying that she had approached him like she was flirting the other day. Sarasa blushed deeply, flustered by his words. Mishiba reminded her that he had told her she could rely on him and that if something was wrong, they should look out for each other, encouraging her not to hesitate to call him. The scene shifted again, showing Sarasa thinking about how kind Itaru was. Itaru then called out to her, asking how long she was planning to stand there, and told her to get ready quickly because he would take her home. Sarasa was shocked and asked what he meant. Itaru explained that since those guys from earlier might still be around, it could be risky for her. Sarasa thanked him, thinking that she really wanted to like him. But the more she got to know him, the more she found herself falling for him. They both walked out of the restaurant together. When they reached the spot where they were to part ways, Itaru asked if she was sure she wanted him to leave her there. Sarasa said yes, explaining that her father was coming to pick her up. Then she suddenly thought that this might be her chance to invite him to the Rakugo theater. As Itaru waved goodbye, Sarasa reached out, grabbed his hand, and asked if he would be free that Saturday. With a confused look, Itaru said her name, and Sarasa, blushing and nervous, told him that she would like to go listen to Rakugo with him. Itaru then exclaimed in surprise, asking if Sarasa also enjoyed Rakugo. Sarasa replied that she was just a beginner but that her boss had told her Itaru liked Rakugo. She nervously asked if it was okay for him. Mishiba? Itaru reassured her that he would actually love to go. Sarasa was surprised and asked if he really meant it. Itaru reminded her that she had been the one to invite him and added that he would contact her later. It was the first time Sarasa saw him smile, and she thought to herself that she wasn't sure if she could handle discovering even more sides of him that she didn't yet know. The scene then shifted to the Rakugo Performance Theater. Mishiba approached Sarasa and asked her what she thought. Sarasa said that she had actually heard the story recently and really enjoyed it, thinking that it had been a good idea to review beforehand. Itaru then told her that he never got tired of looking at her while she laughed, and that she was the first person to tell him such things. He continued, explaining that he had always been very close to his grandfather and would normally only come to a place like this with him, so being able to come with her made him really happy. He thanked her for inviting him. Sarasa blushed, thinking about what she should do when he said things like that, and looked at her in that way. She thanked him for the day. Later, on the train, Sarasa thought that she didn't want to go home just yet. As the train approached Punabashi Station, the speaker announced that passengers should exit from the left side. Many people began leaving the train. Itaru apologized and squeezed closer to Sarasa. Blushing, Sarasa thought to herself that it was way too intense and tried to adjust her position. Itaru told her that she was tickling him and asked her to stop moving. Sarasa blushed even harder, thinking that her heart couldn't take this and that she felt like she was turning into stone. Her heart raced, and she realized it wasn't just hers. Perhaps Itaru's heart was racing too. The scene shifted again to the restaurant. Sarasa wondered if there was a chance between them, though she feared she might be getting carried away. The manager told her to try to calm down. Sarasa apologized and thought that she couldn't focus on her work at all. She bowed and apologized to the manager, feeling flustered and distracted by her thoughts of Itaru. The scenes then shifted to Sarasa, lamenting that she had broken at least 5 plates, feeling unlucky. Mishiba approached her and thanked Izumi for her hard work, then asked if they could go home together, saying he wanted to tell her something. Sarasa thought to herself that it was impossible, and that she never imagined Mishiba would invite her. Could this be a first? Mishiba then noticed that Izumi had seemed a bit different today and asked if something had happened. Izumi made a silly face, thinking there was no way she could tell him that he had been troubling her like this. Mishiba reassured her, saying that if anything was wrong, she shouldn't hesitate to tell him. Izumi decided she would practice opening up. Mishiba then revealed that the reason he had invited her wasn't just to ask about that. He asked if she would like to go listen to Rakugo again someday. Sarasa was surprised but replied that she would love to go. Holding his hand, she thought that it seemed like the roles were reversed from their previous encounter. Silently, she whispered to herself that she loved him and asked if he would like to go out with her, essentially confessing to Mashiba. Mashiba responded that of course he would, explaining that he was happy when he was with her, and hugged her. Sarasa then asked if that meant Mashiba was now her boyfriend. Mashiba, coming close to her face, said that it was things like that about her that he loved and kissed her. The story concluded with Sarasa reflecting that her name was Sara Hazumi. She was a first year in high school, and she had just gotten her first boyfriend.